Yesterday, I celebrated 5 years of continuous sobriety, and the truth is, I am not supposed to be here today. I was not supposed to survive leaving home at 14. I wasn't supposed to live through an eating disorder that shut down my liver, kidney, and heart twice. I wasn't supposed to come back from alcoholism, anxiety, depression, OCD, or the kind of self-destruction that makes people whisper your name like a warning. And I definitely wasn't supposed to walk out of 2 narcissistic relationships back to back and build a life worth living after it. But here's the thing that everyone had wrong about me. This was not just about rebuilding after a narcissist. This was me rewriting an entire destiny people counted me out of. I chose to rip my life off the tracks it was supposed to follow and create something that no one believed that I could. Not teachers, not family, not doctors, and certainly not partners. This was me refusing to die in the story I was handed and decided to write a new one with my bare hands. And that's why I can tell you with the full chest that I am the woman that can help you heal from anything, because I've had to heal from everything. I've survived the kind of pain people don't know how to come back from, and I turned it into a 7-figure coaching business, a life that I'm proud of, a son that I'm present for, and a nervous system that no longer confuses chaos with love. And to celebrate my 5-year sobriety milestone, I wanted to give you a special episode of the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast and give you the 5 biggest lessons I learned becoming the woman no fire could kill. These are the codes that rebuilt me, raised me, and resurrected me. And they are the same codes that will change the course of your life if you let them. I'm Megan Webster, an abuse recovery coach, a trauma-informed strategist, and the woman a narcissist hopes to never meet twice. I rebuilt my life in the flames, and I know how to walk somebody else out of hell because I walk myself out of deeper ones. This is the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare podcast, where survival ends, shadow becomes power, and you rise into the woman that's impossible to manipulate, destabilize, or replace. Today's episode is not just a celebration. 5 years sober, 5 years without numbing, running, or disappearing. 5 years of facing myself, my patterns, my trauma, and my truth without flinching. You are listening to a woman who's rewritten her entire life. Not just relationships, but my identity, my wiring, my destiny. And today I want to take you behind the real work of the transformation, because this milestone is not just about alcohol. It was about an awakening. I owe my entire life to sobriety. It was the moment that I stopped trying to escape my life and started rebuilding one powerful enough that I no longer wanted to. I'm going to weave in pieces of the Forged in the Fire training, the most powerful work I have ever created, because it was born from the version of me who should not have survived and did it anyways. This training has changed thousands of women's lives, and I'm sharing pieces of it with you today, but you can access the full training below through the link in the caption for free. Whether you're the woman still trying to leave the narcissist, the woman who's trying to heal what the narcissist broke, or the woman finally ready for love that doesn't destroy her, you are in the right place. For women still experiencing abuse, this is where you rebuild from the wreckage with clearness instead of shame. And for the woman wanting to date after abuse, this is where you get to learn to date from truth and not from trauma. These are the 5 biggest lessons that shaped me into the person that I am today, and more importantly, how you can take these lessons and make active changes in your life today too. Your environment does not define you. People love to preach, your environment shapes who you are, but environments only shape you when you don't know how to shape yourself. And nobody understands that deeper than a woman who grew up in chaos, survived narcissists, and rebuilt her whole life while still sitting in the smoke. When I say environments don't need to affect you the way society says, I am not talking about toxic positivity. I'm talking about a level of mental toughness you need to develop when life doesn't give you a choice. Your environment didn't protect you, so you became the protection. Your home wasn't calming, so you had to learn how to anchor yourself. Your childhood wasn't nurturing, so you nurtured yourself into the woman you had to become to survive. When I left home at 14, I didn't walk into safety. I walked into survival. That was where my mental toughness was born, not from affirmations, but from necessity. Everything around me was unstable, unpredictable, and unsafe. If I had let my surroundings determine who I became, I would have never lived long enough to see sobriety, motherhood, or the businesses that I built. This is why I can say this with absolute conviction. Your environment can influence you, but it does not get to own you. And if you've lived with a narcissist, you already know what it means to survive an environment built to break you. Their moods, their manipulation, their chaos, their criticism, their control, their silent treatment, their storms, their punishment, their volatility masquerading as love. Living with a narcissist is like living inside of a psychological earthquake, and somehow you still need to learn how to walk. That is mental toughness, which is why I want to tell you, you don't need the world to be stable around you for you to be stable. You do not need peace around you to create peace within you. And you don't need permission to rise from a place where somebody else tried to bury you. The world bet on me long before my sobriety. By the time addiction hit, by the time I was collapsing from eating disorders and drowning in anxiety, depression, and OCD, people had already counted me out. They assumed the environment that I grew up in would determine the life that I lived. They were wrong. Mental illness isn't coldness, it's armor. It's a part of you that refuses to become what hurt you. January 2020, I stood on a balcony ready to end my life, and my environment did not save me. I saved me. The fire that almost consumed me became the fire I used to rise. That moment is how Forged in the Fire training actually exists, because it was the moment I learned that environment does not define destiny. Power of choice does. And the same fire that built me is the same fire I teach you to master. If you are living with a narcissist now, if you are co-parenting with one, if you're rebuilding after one, if you are still shaking inside of a home that feels like a battlefield, this lesson is for you. Your environment may be loud, but your power can be louder. And if you want to learn exactly how I turn that fire into the foundation of my life, the training is linked below in the caption. It's free. Take it. It's my gift to you. You will repeat the lesson until you learn the wiring. This is going to hit you in the gut in the best way. You can change your partner, your city, your job, your hair, your wardrobe, your routine, but until you change your wiring, you'll meet the same lesson with a different person and a different name. People love to say things like, you attract who you are. No, you attract what your nervous system recognizes as familiar. That's why you kept running from relationships that hurt you, but kept ending up in the same pain. You weren't choosing the narcissist consciously, your wiring was. Your body remembered the emotional blueprint you grew up in, and it kept pulling you back to the same dynamic, hoping this time, finally, you'd get the ending that you never had before. And this is where the running comes in. You can run from a person, a place, a thing, but you cannot outlive the pattern that lives inside your body, because everywhere you go, your nervous system goes with you. I ran for years from my childhood, the silence of my father, the abandonment wounds that shaped my entire identity. I tried to run from the eating disorder, the alcohol, and the truth that the men I chose weren't random. They were rehearsals of the pain that I had never healed from. That is trauma repetition. Different man, same wound, different scenarios, same emotional ending. The day that I finally learned this lesson, I was having dinner on a patio in Mexico with my dad. The air was warm, there was soft music, the restaurant was beautiful. Life felt calm for the first time in a very long time. We were having a conversation about my ex-husband and what I actually deserved in a relationship and in my future, and he looked me dead in the eye and he told me that I deserved real love, the kind that chooses me, protects me, holds me, and stays with me. I cried, not just because of the truth that he spoke, but because those were the words I had spent my entire life trying to earn from him. And that was the moment that I understood that was what I was looking for in every man that I ever dated. I wasn't dating those men, I was dating my father's wound. Every narcissist, every addict, every emotionally unavailable man, each one was a mirror sent to show me the lesson that I kept trying to run from. You don't stop repeating the pattern because you met someone better. You stop repeating the pattern because you became someone different. And this is the part that women underestimate. Your healing doesn't start when you leave the narcissist. Your healing starts when you stop running from the version of yourself who needed him in the first place. Trauma doesn't disappear when the relationship ends. It rewrites itself only when you face that part of you that keeps choosing the familiar over the safe. This is why the Black Cat Academy exists, for when you're ready to date again with discernment instead of just regulation. This is also why the RRR membership exists, for when you need to untangle the trauma bond and learn how to trust your body again. Both layers, both versions of you, both paths are necessary. Trauma is not your fault, but rewiring it is your responsibility. Once you understand your patterns aren't personality flaws, they are nervous system responses, you stop shaming yourself and you can start leading yourself. And the moment you stop running from the lessons, the pattern stops chasing you. You are not a victim. People look at my story and assume I must have been destroyed by it. They say things like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. They imagine a girl who never stood a chance, a woman who should have collapsed under the weight of everything that she lived through. What they don't understand is this. The moment I stopped identifying as a victim was the moment every door in my life cracked open. Not because the suffering vanished, but because I refused to let the suffering be the narrator of my story. That shift did not happen in a psychiatrist's office or during some inspirational breakthrough. It happened on a balcony. It was the night that I wanted to end my life. Alcohol didn't stop the pain anymore. I was not thinking about personal growth or redemption. I was thinking about ending the exhaustion, the burnout, the endless cycles of pain. But in that split second, something primal kicked in. A raw truth twist. I stepped back from the edge, not because I believed in my future, but because I knew I wasn't done yet. I didn't know what was waiting for me. I just knew I wasn't meant to die in a story that I had no part in writing. It happened again in my marriage. I was mothering a newborn while being emotionally gutted by a narcissist who wanted control more than connection. I wasn't given support, love, affection, or partnership. I was given silence, blame, and punishment. And instead of breaking, I kept my sobriety. I built a business from scratch with a baby on my hip, creating financial freedom under the nose of the man who thought I would never leave. That was not inspiration, that was strategy. That was survival turning into sovereignty. Those moments I realized I could walk myself out of any fire, especially the ones that I didn't start. Then came the separation. Choosing myself without the applause. Nobody really supporting me. Walking away from the only version of family that I ever knew. Every woman thinks she'll fall apart when she leaves. What they don't realize is how powerful they become in that moment. They stop waiting for permission to reclaim their life. A massive turning point for me is when I stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And I started asking, who do I get to become because of this? That one single shift is victim to author. It changed everything for me. Not being a victim doesn't mean you deny what happened. It means you refuse to let it define your future. Every time life tries to reduce you, you just rise taller. It means you understand you didn't survive all of this just to play small on the other side. Every woman listening to this will eventually meet that moment. The one where she chooses self-responsibility over self-pity, power over collapse, forward momentum over emotional paralysis. Victims stay in the story. Leaders learn how to rewrite it. I say this often in my social media, but I do not regret a single thing. There was once a time that I prayed for a different past, a softer childhood, a safer home, a gentler love story. I thought healing meant erasing what happened, but I learned that healing is seeing the whole map of your life. Every scar, every mistake, every heartbreak, and understand that none of it was wasted. Regret disappears when you finally understand how each moment shaped the version of you who stands here today. Even after leaving an abusive marriage, I still believe deeply in love. Not blindly, not impulsively, not in that reckless, hopeful way that I did when I was young. I believed in love because I refused to let one man's pathology dictate the limits of my heart. I refused to give him power to turn me bitter or closed. That is not weakness, that is emotional mastery. The moment that I spoke earlier about with my dad in Mexico. For 15 years, my dad was not part of my life. I'd reached out when I was pregnant and about to get married, not because he had earned that place, but because I deserved closure on my own terms. I wanted to make amends with the man that would be my son's grandfather. I wanted to rewrite my own narrative. I wanted to break a generational curse, even if he hadn't showed up the way that I wished when I was younger. When we sat across from each other in Mexico, something shifted for me. He wasn't the monster that I stored in my memory bank a long time ago. He certainly wasn't the hero either. He was a man, flawed and human, telling me that I deserved the kind of love he never knew how to give me. When he said, "You deserve real love," it cracked something open me I didn't know was still waiting to hear those words. In that moment, I realized something that was massive for me. I had spent my entire dating life trying to earn the love he had withheld. It was not a realization that made me collapse. It actually freed me. It helped me understand why none of it could have happened differently, why every heartbreak led me here, why every mistake became medicine, why every dark chapter was a necessary step towards the woman that I am now. That's why I don't regret a single thing. Not the pain, not the leaving, not the years that I lost, the parts of myself that I abandoned, the nights that I didn't know if I was going to survive or how on earth I'd keep going. Eventually, everything fed into the fire that forged me. Being open-hearted after trauma isn't being naive. It's choosing to love without losing yourself, to stay soft without being small, to believe in connection without negotiating your worth. And if you are listening to this right now, wondering how to begin again after you lived through everything, here's the truth. You do not need a perfect past to build a powerful future. You just need the courage to stop letting yesterday be the loudest voice in the room. And for our final lesson, relationships are easy with the right person. For years, I thought relationships were supposed to hurt. I thought intensity meant connection. I thought emotional chaos was proof that something was real. I thought fighting meant passion, silence meant punishment, and the constant push-pull cycle was simply how love worked. It wasn't that I didn't want something healthier. I genuinely did not know it existed. When all you've ever known is volatility, stability feels like fiction. But here's what healing showed me. The right relationship doesn't require you to abandon yourself, regulate somebody else's emotions, silence your needs, or question your own reality. The right relationship is not a battlefield. It's a mirror that reflects who you are becoming, not who you're trying not to be. I'm currently experiencing my first healthy relationship. There are moments where it feels uncomfortable, not because it's wrong, but because there's no chaos to decode, no tension to analyze, no emotional landmines to tiptoe around. My nervous system kept waiting for the other shoe to drop because that's what it had been conditioned to expect. But instead of tension, I was met with consistency. Instead of confusion, I was met with commitment. Instead of guessing, I was met with presence. Healthy love does not test your nervous system, it regulates it. For the first time, I am not performing, I'm not fixing, I am not mothering, I am not shrinking myself. I wasn't building a connection on fumes of my own self-abandonment, and I wasn't trying to earn the bare minimum. I was being met, matched, considered, chosen. And what shocked me most is how easy it is. Not perfect, not some kind of fantasy, just easy, because I wasn't fighting against myself to maintain this anymore. Relationships feel easy when you've done healing and choose the right person, not the right project. When your body stops chasing chemical chaos and starts recognizing calm as safety instead of boredom. When your identity is rooted in self-trust rather than survival instincts. After years of walking through the fire, here's what I know with certainty. The right relationship does not demand your self-betrayal. Your person will never punish you for having needs. They will never weaponize your vulnerability. They will never twist your emotions into leverage. They will never make you feel like you're too much. They will not confuse you, destabilize you, or turn a connection into a performance. When you're with the right person, the conversations that used to terrify you now feel simple. The needs you used to hide now feel safe to express. The parts of you once judged now feel seen. And the work that used to exhaust you becomes effortless because you're no longer carrying the relationship alone. The right relationship is where you exhale, not brace. And here is a deeper truth that women don't hear enough. You cannot experience this kind of relationship until you stop choosing people who fit your trauma and you start choosing people who fit your future. You have to heal the part of you that mistakes intensity for intimacy. You have to rewire the part of you that confuses unpredictability with passion. And you must retire the version of you that thinks love is something you earn through endurance. You do not build healthy love through hypervigilance. You build it through emotional presence. And once your nervous system stabilizes, once you stop running from old patterns, once you stop auditioning for affection that should be freely given, you realize how uncomplicated love can be when you're finally with someone who knows how to hold you. No chasing, no fear, no begging, no shrinking, no losing yourself. You will feel like you are able to grow because you are finally safe enough to. And I have a lot to say about safety because you will never feel that from other people when you do not feel safe within yourself. That is your job first. The right relationship will not put you back into the fire you fought your way out of. It will meet you on the other side of it, possibly while you're still in it, matching the woman you're becoming, not the woman you had to be to survive it. And after everything I've lived through, addiction, abuse, abandonment, rebuilding, sobriety, single motherhood, trauma healing, and nervous system rewiring. After 5 years of choosing truth over comfort, growth over numbness, and sovereignty over survival, I deserved a love that reflects the magnitude of the woman that I become. And I want this for you too. A relationship that is steady, a connection that is reciprocal, a partnership that honors your depth instead of exploiting it. Because when you choose from your healing self, relationships do not break you, they elevate you. Before I close, I want to land on the part that most people want to skip. There's no textbook, no therapist, no recovery slogan ever told me. It wasn't the sobriety chips that changed my life. It certainly wasn't the breakup or the separation. It wasn't even leaving the narcissist or rebuilding my business from nothing. It was the moment I realized I wasn't surviving my life anymore. I was in charge of it. The first moment I felt genuinely dangerous in the best kind of way. The kind of dangerous where nothing and no one can make decisions for you ever again. The kind where you don't wait to be rescued, you build the damn exit. Where every room that you walk into feels different because you are not living from the girl who got hurt. You're living from the woman who refused to stay hurt. And that's the truth that I want you to stay with before we move into the end. By the way, lesson 5 was not about finding the right person. It's about becoming the woman who stops loving from survival and starts loving from strength. Because after everything I've been through, I still believed in love. And my boyfriend had joked with me one day, there's so many times you can stick your finger in the electrical circuit until you stop trying. And I said, no, I am so willing because now I know better. I have boundaries and standards and discernment and awareness, and I want real and true love. That is the part that no one expects from a woman with my history. It's the part that makes me unstoppable. I didn't get here because life softened for me. I got here because I stopped negotiating with the version of myself who is still scared. This is your turning point. The moment where you realize you're no longer shaped by what broke you. You're shaped by who you became in the fire, which is why Forged in the Fire was the most powerful training I have ever taught. And it's not just a training, it's a transformation I lived in. Today, everything you've heard is the bridge between the woman who's been surviving as and the woman who chooses to be. This is where the episode shifts, where your old self has an opportunity to end, and your next chapter starts with you leading it, not trying to outrun it. If this episode cracks something open in you good, that means the fire is working. You didn't just listen, you are deciding to evolve. Share this with a woman who needs it. Follow so you don't miss the next episode. Send me a DM on Instagram and please tell me what landed for you the hardest. And now, your next step depends on where you are in your healing. If you are still breaking the trauma bond, rebuilding self-trust, co-parenting with the narcissist, or trying to leave one, you are the RRR woman. Reinvent, Rebuild, and Redeem membership is where you are going to learn how to leave and love yourself in the process, break the trauma bond for good, regulate your nervous system, and create a life free from abuse forever. Your first week is on me. The link for the program is in the caption. And if you are the woman who's healed, integrated, and ready to learn discernment, dating, devotion, and dark feminine power without chaos, dysregulation, or losing yourself again, you are the Black Cat woman. Enrollment is open, and I've given you $500 off of this round of coaching because you've already done the hard part. Now it's time to walk into the room built for the woman you're becoming. Whatever path you're on, the RRR membership or the Black Cat Academy, you are exactly where you need to be. Because you were never meant to be burned by the fire, you were meant to become it. This is the Narcissist Worst Nightmare podcast where you rise from the fire and become the woman that nothing and no one can never break again.